Sorry, I'm just gonna. Thanksgiving last year was kind of a tentpole moment for this team. If anyone had told you then that you'd be 8-3 and in first place, would you have believed them? And what has this turnaround been over the last year?
Yeah, that was a tough time last year. Just really just kind of thinking about it. I think at that point last year, definitely couldn't see this far for sure. Obviously, a lot of things has transpired since that I would just say that whole weekend. Obviously, Flus was let go after that. Um, but nah, man, it's definitely one of those scenarios where you face all that adversity and to come out on the other side of it feels very good. I mean, you talk about where we were from at that point last year. I don't remember how many what the losing streak was at that point, but to be on the win streak we're on now, 8 out of the last 9, it feels great. So we want to be able to keep that going for sure.
How much more special is it to you going to your hometown, playing against a team that you were part of a couple years ago?
Yeah, no, it's awesome, man. It's always good. My family's going to come to the game. My wife is traveling up to the game with the kids or whatever, so be able to see family. So that's really awesome. You know, I spent 10 games up there, so it's not like I'm expecting like some type of tribute video or nothing like that. You know what I mean? So, nah, but it is awesome just to be in this position to be in a primetime game against two teams with the same record. It's going to be very important for us to go out there and obviously on a short week be able to execute the game plan and do all those things to try to go get a win. We're not going to look at this as like it's the biggest game of the year because of the team that was just obviously who just won the Super Bowl, but it's the most important game because as you win multiple games and you get to this point where you're 8-3. You know what I mean? Like every game is the next game is the biggest game of the year because the more and more you win, the more important each of these games are. So we're going to treat it as such.
Is it complicated to play for team in your hometown?
He says it complicated.
Yeah. Was it fun? What was it like?
No, I mean, so a lot of things were going on in my life. I just had a baby boy 2 weeks prior. And I've kind of talked about this. He had spent his first 5 months in the NICU. So it was a lot of stuff going on off the field that was very challenging for me. But on the vice versa of it, it was a special moment for my family, for my dad, to be able to see, that Byard on the last name of the Eagles jersey, a team that he's rooted for his whole life, was very special. So it's kind of like a double-edged sword a little bit, but it was a great homecoming, I would say.
Next man up is something that, we always hear in sports when you guys deal with injuries. But how do you actually go about building and making sure the guys prepared to be the next man up, especially as banged up as you guys were in that Pittsburgh game?
Yeah, I think you got to give credit to the coaching staff. I spoke about this before, but DA, even in the spring, he cross-trained a lot of guys on this team. Right, if it was just use a random example like Kyler Gordon, he was taking reps at safety, he was taking reps at nickel, taking reps at corner, and he's done it for a lot of guys. Whether it was Tremaine and TJ's flipping sides, so everybody kind of got different reps at different spots that kind of really understand the schematics of the defense. So I think now that guys have been able to come in, right if they was practice squad guys, whatever it may be, has been able to come in and play is because I think just the job of the coaching staff has done to prepare everybody. But then obviously it's easier said than done. Guys have really came in and took advantage of opportunities. Right, if you look at a guy like Shawnee who wasn't projected to be a starter this year, or you talk about DeMarco just this past week, the trust that the coaching staff having those guys go out and execute, but then at the same time, those guys going out there balling out, making plays.
Maybe you remember a situation like the Sean's where, he's co-leading.
Yeah.
But technically he's like third on the depth chart.
Right.
Can you ever think of a situation, even if you weren't on that team, or a situation like his?
No, not that I could think of. I mean, I'm pretty sure somebody will be able to find it, some analytics, history books or something. But no, this is a very unique and a special situation of a guy that, I mean, it's not like he was undrafted. I mean, Shawnee was a third-round pick, so obviously the talent was always there. But it's kind of tough that he's had to bounce around, not really getting that opportunity that he's gotten this year. And I always tell the guys, I tell them this before the game, after the game, at all times, like, man, God is in control of everything. You know what I mean? Like, you never know how these things shake out from injuries and stuff like that to be able to come in and, get the shine that he's been getting. So I've just been super happy and proud of him just by the opportunity he's had, but being able to take advantage of that opportunity has been special.
That Eagles offense hasn't been firing on all cylinders, but they still got the names with great resumes. Right. How big of a challenge is it to have AJ and Smitty, and you still got Saquon and tight ends? Like, how big of a challenge is it, even though they are not necessarily playing their best ball offense?
Yeah, I mean, it's a huge challenge. First and foremost, you talk about Saquon Barkley. Like you said, he hasn't had the year that he's had last year, but I mean, he's still a threat every time he touches the ball. he's a guy we're gonna have to corral. And I think when you talk about game plan against a team like that, I think he's definitely priority number one to stop him. And then you talk about AJ and Smitty. AJ's still that guy. You know, I spent 4 years with him, just watching him on film. He's very, very talented. Um, but honestly, if you watch the film, Smitty's been the guy that Jalen. I think Jalen Hurts probably has the most chemistry with receiver wise. He's making plays down the field. He's finding them in the slot, option routes on third down. I think he's kind of going to Smitty first. So I think if we can eliminate those big plays down the field, that'd be good. But then also, obviously, Jalen, uh, he's still a great quarterback. You know, like you said, stats for the entire offense has been down, but they're finding ways to win. I mean, look at us. You know what I mean? Like our stats hasn't been great on defense, but we're finding ways to win. Whether it's creating takeaways, getting out the field on third downs and stuff like that. So, you know, stats is something that we can all look at and judge. But at the end of the day, you know, they're finding ways to win, and I think that's just the testament of their culture and our culture. So it's definitely going to be a challenge for us, just culture against culture. Whose culture is better? You know?
But they've been in as many one-score games as you guys have been. Is there a different sort of approach knowing that this is a team that also knows how to grind it out in those final minutes of the fourth quarter and what you guys have to do to mitigate that?
Yeah, I mean, the way I look at it, I mean, this is a team that was just in the Super Bowl. So, you know, they have a winning culture. They have a winning mentality. We know that we preach 60 minutes. We know they're going to be a 60-minute team as well. So there's going to be no panic on us, but we just know that every single play, you never know what play is going to be that could be the deciding factor of this game. So that's why I'm, you know, just as this team and the way we're preparing right now, like it's a short week. We understand all that. The body's not going to feel great on game day, but we have to take advantage of every rep that we can get in practice, the film study and everything, because, you know, this is going to be a great game for us as talented wise, but then I'm sure the coaches and all that stuff, just how, you know, who's going to be coached better, who's going to play better and all those things, because this is a heavyweight match for sure. And then obviously we're going into a hostile environment of stadium that I've played against, you know, that stadium, if, for example, if their offense go 3 and out and start the game, they're going to start booing them. You know, it's kind of one of those environments where it's going to be very hostile. So hopefully we can kind of start fast and kind of get the crowd on, you know, kind of against their own team. So.
KB, couple more. KB, what do you guys do? How do you describe what Ben's impact has been?
Yeah, I mean, I've talked about this from the beginning, how Chicago's got the right guy in place. Just the type of culture he's been able to set from the beginning since he's been here. I know he spent a lot of time on the offense as far as game planning and stuff like that, but, his meetings and just what he always is preaching, he's going over a lot of situations in the meetings, whether it's on Fridays and things like that. Man, he's been awesome. He's been great for this culture. And like I said, I don't think, we could have pegged to say, hey, we're going to be 8-3 to start this year. But I just knew just from the process that we had from the spring up until this point, it's a winning culture and it's a winning process. So winning, basically has to precede that for sure.
Maybe along those lines, you've been one of the captains preaching a lot of what Ben said about we need to get better, we need to improve this and that, and not focused on what the record is right now. How do you see that playing out in practices and the work you guys put in to try to keep this thing going and get even better?
Yeah, I mean, that's one thing we're always going to focus on is the process, not necessarily results. Now, we've been able to, get some great results, but at the end of the day, man, we still have a lot of things to improve on. We're not playing the Super Bowl tomorrow, you know what I mean? Like, it's a great game. It's another game to obviously show our culture, show our team, but, we're still trying to get better. And that's always what it is. At the end of the day, we're happy with where we are, but we're not satisfied whatsoever. So I think that's just the mantra for this team, for every player. As you watch the film and you grade yourself, it's like, we're happy we win. You're never going to apologize for winning, but at the same time, let's not get too caught up in the results because there's a lot of things on the tape from a team aspect and also a personal side that we continue to get better. And as long as you try to continue to get 1% better, eliminate some of those mistakes, that's just what you can focus on. And the rest of that is just going out there and trying to play.
You haven't faced the tush push a lot this year, but does seeing it last week, I know they run a different variation of it in Pittsburgh. Is there anything you can carry over from how you defended that, how you didn't defend it on the second time to what you very likely could see with Philly?
No, honestly, I think we did a good job defending it personally, especially the first one. There's a lot of commentary about the tush push. I think the way DA kind of preaches it is really good. You see a lot of teams, especially defending it, trying to jump over the pile and stuff. That never works. He kind of looks at it like a rugby play where the guy's behind. If your man if you're in man-to-man and your man is behind the guy on offense is pushing, then you push your guy, you push the defensive line. I think we did a really good job of stopping it. Now the other part of it is just defending, understanding what's the plays off of it, and they was able to kind of get to the edges, and we were kind of really bunched up in there. So I think this time around, DA, obviously talking about kind of our short yardage day tomorrow, we'll have obviously, I think we'll be a little bit more disciplined on the edges. But I think we did a good job actually defending the actual tush push play. But obviously Philly's the best at doing it, so we'll see. We'll see how we do. On Friday.
I mean, with Jalen and Kyler set to come back at some point, and you talked about Shawnee, what CJ's done. You don't have to. It's a good problem to have. But what's it like in that room? I mean, I'm sure it helps that you're 8-3 about how the guys are all going to handle maybe some different roles when those guys come back.
I think everybody will do a great job. It's a good problem to have. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not going to stand up here and give any clues about who's going to play, where's going to play, anything like that. But no, when you can have as much depth as you have at the corner position, it's a welcoming problem. Now, I would love to get everybody on the field on every play because I like the DBs being out there. I think everybody's going to be good. Obviously, Jalen and Kyler's been working their behinds off to get back for this stretch run we have. So it's going to be exciting. It's going to be very fun. We got some